So earlier today, a second full-length trailer for Avengers Endgame dropped, and this is my shot-for-shot breakdown of the entire trailer. So let's talk about it. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Sean, and I started this channel because I was driving everyone around me crazy talking about movies way too much. If you can relate, you're probably in the right place and consider clicking that subscribe button. With that said, go ahead and join me down in the comment section. What did you notice inside of this trailer, and what is getting you most excited? Let's have a nice, lively discussion about this movie that I know I am very, very excited to see. Also, after this video, you can just see my trailer reaction right up here. Also, my ranking of all the movies in the MCU. With that said, let's get started walking through this trailer. So the trailer kicks off with footage from the original Iron Man of his original suit crashed in the sand as he escaped from the cave, and it has voiceover of Tony Stark saying, "Gosh, it feels like 1,000 years ago that I fought my way out of that cave." And right out of the gate, I think that establishes both what this trailer is going to be as well as what we should expect from this movie, which is to say basically a bookend to everything in the MCU thus far. We're going back to look at all these characters that kind of kicked everything off, and we're closing out in eras. That's what this felt like to me when it starts off immediately. Here was Iron Man as Iron Man from the first time, and him crashing and burning while being successful. That establishes a whole lot in just a little bit of dialogue. Then it shows the shot of Iron Man's helmet, of him kind of talking to it in space, and then montages back to the original Iron Man. He's like, I became Iron Man, and I realized that I loved you. Once again, retrospective, both the character side and the hero side. And then we see him stranded once again in his ship in space. It was saying, I know we said no more surprises, but I was really hoping I could pull off one more. Just kind of establishing how bleak of a place that Tony Stark is, which is what we saw in that first trailer that they released. Like, this really is the lowest we have ever seen Tony, and the most he has given up. He doesn't think he's going to make it, and he has truly failed. That feels like that's where this movie is kicking off. So then we see footage from Captain America, the First Avenger, as voiceover says, "The world has changed. None of us can go back," which, given all of the rumors about where this movie is going, given the set footage of certain people going back and making some changes, that's a really important line that they put in there. None of us can go back. Oh, but can you? Oh, but can you? Which is all speculation says that is where this movie's going. And then there's a single shot in here of Captain America sitting there, no beard. No beard on Captain America. And I'm going to talk about hair a lot in this because hair changes, especially as we get into Black Widow. It's interesting as we go into this trailer. The thing that I think is giving us the most hints as to how this movie works, the time frame of this movie, how much time passes during the events of the film itself, is Black Widow's hair, just as a spoiler of where I'm going with all this. Then we see Hawkeye showing someone how to shoot a bow and arrow with the haircut that he had in previous films, and voiceover says, "All we can do is our best." And this looks like this is new footage that is a flashback of him before the events of all of this. Or at the beginning of this movie, he's out there teaching his child to shoot a bow and arrow, and we're going to watch as his family dies in front of him. And maybe that's where this is going. Either way, pretty sure we're seeing this shot to just show you how dark of a place that his character has gone. So then we see a shot of Hawkeye, Ronan, the same one that we saw in the first trailer. He's got the new haircut, so different from the shot that came right before it. And it reveals Black Widow is standing there with blonde hair, as best I can tell. I mean, it's not the best lighting. Blonde hair. It looks like he's standing over a dead body. At least we saw that from the previous trailer. And then they reach out and hold hands. Voiceover says, and sometimes the best we can do is start over. Once again, trying to establish these different themes inside of the movie without giving us plot, the types of emotions that this movie is going to be going for. But so it seems like this is probably pretty early in the movie that he's getting recruited in a very dark place. And she has, as I said, blonde hair. Then we get this little montage both of from the first Thor movie, kind of Asgardian, Odin type shots, and then it goes to shots of people at the end of Infinity War turning to dust with the black and white. And this is where it becomes really obvious that red is the one color that there is, black and white with red in there as well, emphasizing that the darkness of all of this. And as the montage of people dying continues, you have the voiceover from Thor saying, you know, I saw all of these people die. And if you watch the arc of Thor, his personality, like he's the guy that seems to have the most drastic, dramatic changes from movies. The first movie, he is, you know, arrogant guy that has to learn humility. By Ragnarok, he's the stand-up comedian guy. And then he is a very broken guy in Infinity War. And this looks like we're doubling down on, and everything we've seen in the trailers so far just doubles down on Thor is devastated by everything that has happened in all these movies, and just watching these people die is entirely on his shoulders. So then we see Captain America with dead bodies around him, and then voiceover saying, I keep telling people they should move on. And this kind of goes back to the Super Bowl tease that they put out, similar themes of like, everyone's moving on, I'm telling people to move on. You see him at the support group, which I guess we saw a shot of that in this trailer as well. Everyone's trying to move on. And so it's tied back to that. Everyone else is moving on. So then the quote finishes with the next shot of Black Widow there. Some do, but not us. Continuing that theme. Now to hold on this shot right here of Black Widow, this is where it gets really interesting to me because her hair looks longer here and it looks very dark at the top and very blonde at the bottom, as if a year's worth of hair has grown out, or like whatever has happened, that the right down here is still very blonde and up here is a much darker hair color. Maybe that's lighting, but it still looks to be a very different length of hair from shots we're going to see later in this trailer. So then we see Scott Lang walking down the street by himself, implication being he just got out of the quantum realm. He's walking around and discovering the world around him. It's very unkempt, it's overgrown, as if a lot of time has passed in a very dark, desolate world. And this is very important to where we're going to go later on in this, of establishing, it seems like, takeaway from this, the implication here is that when he's kind of walking around by himself, trying to get back to our Avengers, he like is seeing an overgrown world. A lot of time has passed when he is walking around. Next shot we see is like a spaceship flying into a city, as Black Widow says, even if there's a small chance. Now, off the top of my head, I haven't been able to come up with what ship this is. If you guys want to have a guess as to which ship this is, maybe I'm just missing something obvious. Tell me what ship that is you think it is down below in the comment section. Next shot, we've got Black Widow, Hawkeye, Ronan standing there looking away from each other. The voiceover says, we owe this to everyone that's not here in this room with us. Once again, establishing the dire stakes of all this, kind of their commitment. The important detail in this shot, her hair is like red, like a very distinct red color to her hair. So we are like without question seeing very different hair colors for her hair, and it's pulled back behind her head, kind of going back a little bit long. Then we see Ronan running down a hallway, the red hallway we've seen before, with an explosion behind him in the very next shot. I zoomed in. It does look like it is Jeremy Renner being blown to pieces or blown up in the hallway as he's running, but I didn't see a quiver on him, so make of that what you will. Then the shot that put the big grin on my face, War Machine and Rocket just posing there. Rocket gets the big grin on his face. And even though he doesn't get any lines in this, just like the little shots that we see of him, that he's suddenly now with our Avengers, it's one of those things just inherently makes me grin. I started talking about it, I was like, I can't help but grin talking about Rocket on War Machine's shoulders. The actual military guy now has a Rocket Raccoon sidekick with him. That is an amazing little touch. So we see Captain America and Ronan talking by a pond. It looks like, I'm not sure, I think we've seen little glimpses of maybe this setting in some of the previous shots, but it hasn't, like most of the emphasis has been on the shots back at Avengers Station. And so then here we are at a pond, and it says, we will do whatever it takes. From there, it gives us a good little shot of Ant-Man indoors, and then it shows us with Thor, with Stormbreaker, lightning hitting it. So just kind of generic shots of them, but I said I was going to go shot by shot. Here's where we start getting some juicy stuff. We see Nebula pull out some knives on what looks like a desolate planet and kind of runs towards the screen. And we're going to see a few more shots from what looks like this particular setting. But I mean, just kind of looking at it, you can't really see exactly what it is, except this is probably going to be some major set piece in the film. Quick shot, another one of Ronan in that hallway. Nothing really to add. We've already talked about this a little bit. Next up is a shot we saw a little bit of in the Super Bowl trailer of Black Widow shooting at some targets. Fully blonde hair. Fully blonde hair in the shot as she's doing this. Once again, like, as I was kind of putting this video together, I was like, I can't believe the most interesting thing I'm finding in this trailer is Black Widow's hair color. Back to our desolate planet, or at least supposedly our desolate spaces we saw before. We got Captain America grabbing the shield. We saw that in the, I believe, the Super Bowl trailer. It looks like Steve Rogers there, but he is looking rough, covered in dirt, and wherever they are at, it is just burned to the ground. And it looks like his original Captain America outfit that he's wearing here. But once again, some environment here is going to have some rough action sequence on it. But getting a little bit more interesting, we then see what looks like Ant-Man also in this desolate space of destruction, burning, and things like that. And if you go through it real slowly, you see he runs on a pencil. So he is small size in the desolate space, assuming it's the same sequence. It totally could be a different sequence. But assuming it is the same one, running up a pencil. In the background, you see a 1/4-inch cable, like for a guitar or for headphones, dangling in the background. And then it cuts to another shot of him like going down a stream of water. All of it looking like it's in that same desolate space. So to throw some crazy ideas out there, what if Nebula and Captain America have also managed to some way be shrunken down or something like that? I don't know, or wherever the sequence is taking place, since you've got a dangling headphone jack, maybe it's Avengers headquarters or whatever, where a battle goes down and some of the stuff there's getting busted up. And so Ant-Man goes small to avoid it and they're duking it out. Just totally throwing out, spitballing ideas as we go through this, but it looks like all three of those are in the same location. And what would that be where you'd have him running on a pencil and could see his 1/4-inch jack? Interesting stuff. Then we see a quick shot of Tony Stark supposedly in space, like some of the stuff we saw in previous trailers, and it just says, whatever it takes. And then things get very interesting as we get the proper close-up version of the silhouette shot from the Super Bowl trailer. In that one, you can see people were walking. It looked like some people had been edited out of the shot, and they were in silhouette, so you couldn't make out specifically who all of them were. Here we get the shot, and it's multiple shots, different angles as they slowly walk by. First person to walk by is Captain America. He's decked out in the white spacesuit looking thing. There have been rumors about these suits for months now, shots of toys, all kinds of stuff. So we were pretty sure that these white suits were going to make an appearance. Here they are on full display. They are in the white suits, so probably maybe quantum realm suits. Maybe the whole gang is going to jump into some device and go into the quantum realm, jump back in time. Who knows? But some sort of space quantum realm suit that everybody is decked out in. Captain America's first in line. Next shot, we see Nebula, Ant-Man, and Ronan. And that Nebula there, that's the one where it gets very interesting. Because it goes in a couple of different directions as to what could be going on here. First off is just Nebula's there. We should take it at face value, and this means that Iron Man, Nebula make it back to Earth, and whatever this big mission is that everybody's going on in the white suits, Nebula, Tony, they are on the mission, and they're going for it, which somewhat undercuts the first 30 seconds of this trailer, the first 30 seconds of the first trailer as well, of I guess Tony's gonna die. Well, at face value from what we see here, it looks like, no, they don't. They get back, they get in the suits, and they're going to be on our wild adventure. The other speculation that the internet is already going at, we saw a final shot from Infinity War, everybody in a line in Wakanda running through the trees. Hulk is right there in the midst of all of it. Hulk does not show up in Wakanda. They blatantly misled in the trailers for Infinity War. They had other shots where they edited the background to change it. So there's fake shots, there's edited shots. They are doing the full shebang. And then even the speculation in this video that they edited people out of shots from the Super Bowl trailer. So some speculation is they're putting Nebula and Tony into this just to trick us. Don't know, but they've done it before, so it's entirely plausible that they would do it again. Then we get another shot of Ronan in the mix, as well as War Machine. Nothing much to add, but we see them. And then our last shot in this batch, we get Tony, Nebula, Black Widow with red hair, and then Ant-Man in the mix. So I already talked about Tony, the two theories, because we saw the Nebula one. But the fact that this shot shows Black Widow with different hair that's not blonde, very important detail. Though because it's pulled back, we can't see exactly how long the hair is. If we could, that would make it even a little bit more interesting. So then we cut to our title card and see the logo, big epic music plays, fun times. And then we get the little tag at the end with Thor and Captain Marvel. This is a really nice touch because we haven't seen any humor thus far in these trailers. They are bleak, dire, depressing, and then we get this little simple joke in there that shows that Thor isn't totally depressed, and there's a little bit that could kind of work inside of this that has the fun tone that we know. It's not all end of the world dire stuff. Great, cute little moment. And then it cuts to the final shot of the trailer. We go wide, we see Black Widow standing there, short blonde hair, her haircut from Infinity War. Which, if you're trying to set the timeline of all these different hairstyles and everything, this seems like this is like the beginning of the movie, which would line up with the Captain Marvel post-credit scene. Captain Marvel shows up very early in this movie. In which case, all this stuff where you look at the shot where in the middle of this trailer where she's sitting there and her hair looks like it's two different colors and it looks significantly longer, that must be much later in the film. And you see her having red hair and things like this. How much later in the film is some of this stuff where they're doing that? And one of the theories that very quickly is starting to get out there on the internet is there a big time jump in the middle of this film? That Captain Marvel shows up and plan number one, they try it and maybe it doesn't work. And so then time jump happens. They've really failed, really failed. And then that, going back to what I said before, is when Scott Lang shows up. They have utterly failed in this first segment with Captain Marvel even on their side to try and make things happen. And so then Scott Lang shows up, quantum realm, time travel, they try something new. I don't know. I'm just discussing the little things I've seen on Twitter real quick and the little details that I'm noticing and how much you can learn just by staring at Black Widow's hair. What did you think about all the details? What are your theories? Tell me down below. Check out my other Marvel videos right over there. Thank you so much for watching and keep talking movies too much.